Hello, everyone. Really excited you can join us for this session today. We're really excited to share with you something we've been working on for a long time that we think will be very valuable for our customers and partners working with Wrike. Today, we want to introduce how content orchestration works even better when WoodWing is combined with Wrike. All of the teams that work with WoodWing and with Wrike, whether they be content creators, writers, editors, project managers, and marketers, all can work together more collaboratively so everyone is rowing in the same direction. I'm Perry Solomon. I am the General Manager of Brands at WoodWing. I'm with WoodWing here in the United States in New York, and I lead WoodWing's go-to-market strategy for working with brand marketers around the world. And I'm pleased to be joined today by Owen Greenwell, who is our partner in Australia. He's the Content Operations Director for Medium Rare. I'm going to give Owen a more proper and fitting introduction in a few minutes. But to begin, I'd like to introduce WoodWing for those of you who may not know of us. WoodWing today works with over 2,000 companies around the world. These include well-known names like Coca-Cola, Hearst, BuzzFeed, Yamaha, and Axel Springer. And that means that over 50,000 people, content creators, producers, designers, editors on a daily basis are working with WoodWing to create amazing content. And we do that in over 100 countries, both directly as well as through a broad network of partners, including our friends at Medium Rare. And they integrate WoodWing solutions into the services offerings that they deliver to their clients. At WoodWing, at the heart of what we do is enabling companies to create beautiful content together. We allow content collaborators to work with the teams that they're working with, both internally and externally. And we work within the existing systems that they use, both for where the content lives and where they want the content to go. We call that content orchestration. At the heart of that is a storytelling process that's connected seamlessly with all the tools that you already use. Content orchestration enables teams to take a content-first approach, creating channel-neutral stories, managing workflows and approvals, and then publishing across online, in-app, and in print. At the heart of WoodWing's content orchestration platform is two solutions. WoodWing Assets, which is WoodWing's digital asset management solution. WoodWing Assets is a scalable, flexible solution that can scale to millions of assets and integrates seamlessly with the tools that creatives use on a daily basis. WoodWing Studio is WoodWing's multi-channel content workflow solution, enabling publishers and marketers to take a content-first approach to how they create and distribute content. And these solutions together help organizations orchestrate their content processes, shorten time to market, and achieve greater ROI from their content. So I'm pleased today to be joined by Owen Greenwell. Owen is the Content Operations Director with Medium Rare. And while we may be together in this presentation, I thought I'd point out that Owen and I are actually completely on opposite ends of the world. I'm in New York, and Owen is, of course, down under, down in Sydney. We share common, beautiful cities with beautiful bridges. But Owen, I'm really grateful for you being here from afar to make things close and to share the great experience that we have working together, WoodWing and Wrike.
Thanks, Perry.
Welcome, Owen.
Thank you.
So Owen, since I took a chance to introduce myself, could you share a bit more about you and about Medium Rare?
Okay, thanks, Perry. Yes, Medium Rare is an agency built to tell stories. We're a full stack content provider. We build content for our clients, which include some of the most prestigious brands in Australia and New Zealand, including Qantas, Coles, David Jones, Bunnings, Officeworks, who are all the leaders or the largest in their various fields or industries. And we do everything from print magazines, so for instance, Qantas's In-Flight magazine, through to websites, social posts, YouTube channels, podcasts is a new area we're in now. And all of those things we are managing with the WoodWing and Wrike products. In terms of my background, I've spent 25 odd years in the publishing, advertising, printing kind of industries. On the IT and workflow side. Before joining Medium Rare, I was a WoodWing partner since 2006, and actually saw the origins of some of the WoodWing products like Assets when it was started life as Elvis. And since joining Medium Rare, my responsibilities are managing all the systems that help produce all those different content channels. So that includes the WoodWing suite, Journal Designer, and it's all hosted on AWS. So as an AWS solutions architect, I manage the infrastructure side of it as well. And since the beginning of the year, we've also been rolling out Wrike, which has been my responsibility.
Owen, thank you for that introduction. To get ourselves started in our conversation today, could you talk a bit about how Medium Rare and WoodWing work together?
Certainly, Perry. Medium Rare uses the WoodWing suite of applications, with, of course, the Adobe Creative Suite, and we use that to produce print magazines, online, video, podcasts, and especially on the print side, WoodWing Studio is crucial for how we both create the content internally and also the way we deliver it to our clients. So all assets, images, videos, text content is all stored in Assets. And then we use WoodWing Studio to manage the whole InDesign workflow process to create the print content. And an important part of that is publication overview in WoodWing Studio, where our clients have access to that, and they use that to review the progress of content, make notes, and we have the review approval process. And then we use WoodWing Studio to generate the final PDFs with InDesign Server for when it goes out to print.
And I know we'll have a chance in a few minutes to get into a specific example of how WoodWing, Medium Rare, and Wrike will all work together. Could you talk a bit about what you know about Wrike and how Medium Rare is using Wrike, or begin to use Wrike to help it be more efficient in its workflows?
Certainly. So the WoodWing suite is great, but it really just manages the actual content creation process and the management of that. So what we were looking for is something to grab all the processes before that. So briefing from clients, costings, and an overall view of where everything is at, not just what's in the WoodWing suite. So we assessed a number of products, and Wrike came out as the best fit to give us that complex structure. There's a lot of project management systems out there, but a lot of them are fairly simple, but Wrike has a real depth to it. And another crucial aspect was the Wrike API and how that would integrate with the WoodWing systems, particularly Studio and Assets. And in fact, we sounded out and the integration process before we made our purchase decision. So the fact that WoodWing and Wrike could work together was a key part of our purchase decision early this year.
You know, that's terrific. That's very helpful. It is something that at WoodWing we feel is a real differentiator as well for us, is that ability to integrate with the systems and the processes that our partners use to develop solutions and that our customers use to get more value out of the technologies. And so that integration capability, you know, we understand is something that more and more customers are looking for as they think about the stack that they use for their creative applications. When you think about the WoodWing and Wrike integration, could you talk a bit about the goals, the things that you hope to accomplish through the integration? Okay,
so a key part of that is a live status update between the two systems. So when you've got multiple systems, and every business has that, it's unavoidable, you sometimes end up with double entry that you've got to say, right, I've done a job in system A, and then you've got to say, I've also done the job in system B. We wanted to make sure those two systems talk to each other. So wherever you updated the status, it was reflected back in that system. That was crucial, and we have that with this integration. Another key part of it was because Wrike has a very solid structure and templating system around a thing called blueprints. What we can do is build these repeating structures for the content. So a print magazine has a structure every month or every quarter or how often it's made, and we build a blueprint for that. And so that gets regenerated, and then that pushes that template into the WoodWing systems. So we can then say, based on the Wrike blueprint, here's the dossiers, the folders, the collections, and even the layouts based on InDesign templates from those blueprints. And what it allows us to do is, the goal is to have a much more consistent creation. And also, as we do more ad hoc kind of campaign type work, we can very quickly create these content pieces based on these consistent templates. So it makes it easier for everyone concerned and delivers a better product for our clients in the end. And the whole thing has to be work from home. You know, we've kicked off this Wrike rollout just as the pandemic kind of drove everyone out of the office. So by hosting it in the cloud, so Medium Rare has been in the cloud from day one, from our inception 5 years ago. All of these systems have to be usable, whether we're in the office or on the road or at home.
Terrific, Owen. That's really helpful to get a sense of what's exciting to you and what you're looking to get out of the integration. And certainly on that last point, I think we've all had to learn how to work in very different ways over the last few months. And I think going forward, we're really going to have the expectation that the technologies and the tools that we use are accessible for us, regardless of where we may be working. So, yeah, but let's dig in a little bit more fully into how this will all work with a specific customer example. And so I know that you were pointing out some of the specific ways that WoodWing and Wrike together will allow you to serve your clients better.
Thanks. Yes, so an example of one of those goals is images and video as well. So we have obviously need images. We commission a lot of photographers and a lot of videographers. And the example here is we will have a project in Wrike. We use request forms and blueprints. In fact, in Wrike, we mandate the use of request forms and blueprints. And what that does is that means we can build these projects with all the options required. So the request form has a series of questions in it. Based on the answers, it then builds a project with all the subtasks in Wrike, listing out all the requirements, whether it's locations, props, stylists, all of these kind of things. And then it triggers based on the status of those tasks, we can trigger the integration with WoodWing. And what that will do is when we say we're ready, it builds the folders and collections in assets with the correct structure, with the correct naming conventions, also potentially fitting in with any parent projects. And then having that structure built in WoodWing Assets, one of the features of WoodWing is we can build a share link. And what that is we can then send out a URL to either internal staff or external contractors for them to upload the images. At the same time, that integration also pushes a URL back into Wrike for easy reference. So rather than having to manage in two systems, what you're looking at, if you're in Wrike, that task or project will have a URL, one click, it opens a new browser tab and you're in WoodWing Assets in the right spot in that collection with either an empty collection or if somebody's used the share link, that's where those photos have been uploaded. And then the status of those collections in Assets or the project in Wrike, wherever you update it, it will sync between those two systems. And then the next stage is we're looking expanding the capabilities. WoodWing is looking expanding the capabilities of the metadata. So beyond status, the usage tagging, that kind of stuff, back and forth between the two systems where that may be useful.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. I mean, I think the scenario you've described where you have, so many different people involved in this process, people that are regularly part of project teams or people that may come and go, sporadically involved in different elements of the creative process, knowing that all of their, knowing that they have access to the system, regardless of whether they're an employee, a freelancer, a contractor, and knowing that to the extent that when people roll off projects, that you're able to then restrict that access so that they're no longer you're able to access things
That's right. We can have those share links with an expiration.
Yeah, and having elements where you can have rights and permissions controlled, at the user level, at the asset level, or at the project level, really gives you that level of control over the process is important. But I think the notion that workflow and status is tightly integrated to how you are managing the assets and creating you're creating a product with that is certainly becoming more and more important.
So by doing this, what we see is that anyone in the organization sees where it's up to. So it doesn't matter whether it's somebody who's primarily in Wrike or somebody who lives primarily in WoodWing Assets or Studio, they're always going to see where that job is up to, and based on their permissions. So for instance, a client isn't going to see it early in the process. They will only see it when it's ready. And likewise, freelance staff only get very specific access to those things. And by having that transparency across all the systems means that also the management reporting and financials. So some of these things incur costs, those are tracked in Wrike, and we see a dynamic and live view of where that's up to.
And I imagine this as well allows you to be able to understand, which assets are being used, in which projects, and to the extent, as you mentioned, that there is allocations back to, potentially content that you may license from a third party, that all can be tracked in one place.
Correct. Yeah, and the potential metadata thing will also extend those capabilities as we track all that in WoodWing Assets.
Terrific. So it sounds like there's really a lot of benefits from this integration.
Absolutely, it's crucial to how we're implementing this. So some of the additional benefits I mentioned: elimination of double handling and repetitive tasks, and also a lot of work around reporting that we used to have to do. We can now get single screens or reports in Wrike derived from the systems where those actual assets are managed. That consistent experience for staff is very important. So we have multiple teams across multiple clients, but a lot of staff work across those teams, and that's only increased this year as staffing's gone a bit crazy in the pandemic, and that allows a fast response for clients. Ultimately, we're a client service company, so these things we do have to be for the benefit of the client, and we see that as the client getting a better service from us. And it's also using a lot of syllables, but the communication asynchronicity. So previously, when everyone's in the office, you could just yell backwards and forwards, "Hey, where's that thing is up to?" With people off site, you can't do that anymore. So we have to have the status in the system, and it has to be up to date at any given moment. So somebody who logs in can see. And also, when we do have meetings on Google Meet or Zoom or wherever they are, meetings should be about the actions that need to be taken, not spending half an hour of everyone recounting their status and where they're up to. That should be a given. And by having everything in Wrike linked to the WoodWing systems, we have that. And again, coming back to the word transparency, you log into the system, you can see where everything is up to. That's the key benefit. And that means we know where we're up to, and we can relay that information to our clients quickly and efficiently.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful, and I think even more so. I think we are experiencing now a real change in how we work, whether that is because of people working in remote locations, or whether that is sort of more dynamic project teams, where people will be involved in things at various stages and then come in or roll off. That I think the nature of what it means to be part of a creative team is really changing, and ensuring that you're able to provide that transparency, that communication, that confidence, that work is getting done, in a very distributed way, as well as being able to communicate that confidence back to your client, so that they always know what's going on with their projects. They always know, whether the deliverables are being hit, and that they feel really good about the relationship that you're enabling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I know it's perhaps a bit early to think about the future for what the WoodWing Wrike integration could mean for your business, but obviously you mentioned you are a client service business, and then you think about sort of the potential for growth for what this could mean. Could you share some early thoughts as to what this could represent?
Yeah, so beyond what we've already discussed, I think that transparency and that speed internally will benefit new client acquisition. We can respond faster, better, with a greater deal of consistency. And also it allows us to expand the scope of the projects or the type of content we can provide to our clients. An example of that is podcasts is a new thing that we're doing for some of our clients. And that has a different approval process to images or print or even video. So we're now using Wrike potentially for that process, and storing all that content in WoodWing Assets. And the approval steps, both in WoodWing Studio and also the approvals in Wrike, means we can have a much more dynamic client interaction. So we can use those tools. The old days of emailing PDFs is a pretty backward kind of way of doing things. So there's much better tools available, and Wrike and the combination of Wrike and WoodWing give us a much better way of delivering that, and also tracking its progress, and things like sign off can be done much more effectively in these tools, and will help Medium Rare grow and improve in the future.
One of the things we hadn't had a chance to talk about previously, but I'd love your thoughts on is how have you shared the potential for this WoodWing Wrike integration internally with your staff and potentially with clients? Is this something that they're aware of? Is this something that they've expressed any kind of excitement or any kind of feedback on thus far?
Well, change management's always a fun topic. Any new system, you're going to have challenges, and we combined it with the pandemic, so there was pluses and minuses there. It's probably elongated the rollout for the whole system by having everyone at home, but also people's capacity for change, we found it's oddly increased. A deadly virus, in contrast, changing the workflow system isn't quite as big a deal as maybe it might have been last year. And we've been able to, so there's just been an enthusiasm actually. So internally, we haven't pushed the Wrike project out to clients so much at the moment beyond some approval steps. That's the next stage once we've got it fully bedded down internally, and we've got the integration with WoodWing fully bedded down. But I see that, overall, it's been a positive experience, which is, I've been involved in IT projects for 25 years, and that's not always the case. So, we've been pleasantly surprised with how receptive people are to Wrike, and we've been a WoodWing client for 5 years, and seen that product incrementally improve over time, and increase the available functionality that we can offer to the client.
That's wonderful feedback, and obviously, WoodWing as a company, we love to be pushed by by customers like you that are bringing challenging use cases and demanding expectations. Obviously, we hope it makes our product better, and we hope we continue to do a better job of being a good partner to work with. And so, obviously, as you bring this out to your clients, you'll discover new things, and obviously, we'll find ways to be able to bring more of those capabilities to you and your clients. We're getting close to the end of our time, so we're gonna wrap up now. I wanted to thank you very much for sharing your insights, both about Medium Rare and how you work and how Wrike is helping you work more efficiently, and then importantly, the benefits that you're realizing through the WoodWing and Wrike integration. I would like to offer up that if there are people who do have questions or would like to learn more about WoodWing, please visit our website at woodwing.com. Any questions specifically, you can send to info@woodwing.com. WoodWing, we do have a dedicated integrations page. So to learn more about the Wrike integration, and I did want to give a special shout out to the folks at Creative Folks who built this integration to make it possible. So you can find out more about that integration on woodwing.com/integrations. And if you'd like to learn even more, we have an on-demand webinar, which will be available shortly, that will talk about WoodWing and the Wrike integration. And we have special guests from Cipla, a leading pharmaceutical manufacturer. That on-demand webinar is called A Cure for Your Creative Workflow with WoodWing and Wrike. And you can go and download that and learn more. So Owen, again, thank you very much for your time and your insights. It's been wonderful hearing your stories as someone who's known WoodWing for a very long time. And I certainly appreciate you making the time to share that with the audience today.
Thank you, Perry. It's been a pleasure.